buzz, buzz, babies.
Hey, buzz, babies. Happy Wednesday. Happy new comic book day. We're streaming live from Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. There it is. The Holy Trinity. I don't know if that's the Holy Trinity. We're live in several places. We're here to talk comics. I got some cool people with some cool projects. Living that cool indie comics rockstar life that I'm excited to talk to and bring out. But before we do that, just real quick, like, you know, we gotta pay the bills around here. We gotta, you know, and we do that by talking about tonight's show being sponsored by Michael Gecko Adams, who has a new series, Hero out from Keenspot, to keep up with what he's got going on. And trust me, babies, you want to keep up with what he's got going on, get on over to geckoadams.com and tell your shops to put Hero on your pull list. If for some reason your shops can't get it, guess what? There's a link in the show notes. You just click that, go to the Keenspot shop, get yourself a couple copies of a fun comic. And on that note, every book we talk about tonight, there's going to be links in the show notes for you to find the campaigns, find the books we talk about, all that fun stuff. There's also links for Negative Burn. The multi-award winning anthology is back on Zoop. It's Mike Allred, Marguerite Bennett, oh my God, Phil Hester, Joe Pruitt. There's so many people, Joe Jusko. There's so many people involved in this anthology. It's crazy. We got some secret news coming out to the mailing list this week, so I would keep an eye, or I'm sorry, next week. I would keep an eye on your emails, but also until then, click that QR code or use the link in the show notes and check it out. It's on Zoop, and it's a cool deal. Lots of historical comic talent involved. It's pretty intense. Speaking of intense, I forgot to change the damn graphic. It's not the 29th, it's the 30th. We are doing a retailer roundtable for Comics and Magazine. I know not many retailers watch my show, but if you want this magazine, tell your local comic shop, because it's on FOC this week, and we need to get those pre-orders in, right? But tell them to send an RSVP. We're gonna do a little Zoom chat with retailers, talk about what this is all about. Again, apologies, because it was going to be the 29th, but it is this Friday, the 30th, at 2 o'clock Eastern. That is when we are doing that. And last but not least, Blam and Glam, Richard Morgan is back on Kickstarter, 13 issues deep. You can get issues 12 and 13, but also all previous issues still available. Hardcover, still available. Softcover, still available. Red variants, still available. Not safe for work variants, definitely still available. This is a safe for work comic with not safe for work covers. It's very cool. I love he's got this awesome, like, he's just this great illustrator, awesome painterly style, great sci-fi dystopia. Click the link, check it out. And if you are interested, you can read the first issue for free. You just click it, download the PDF, check it out. If it's for you, guess what? 13 issues ready for you right there in Kickstarter. All right, let's kick out the jam, shall we? All right, let's do, all right, we got this is this person's first time on my show. He's got a cool book. It's a little punk rock, a little metal, and a lot of undead. Oh, I've heard this dude shred online. I'm stoked to listen to him shred about indie comics. Let's get him out, Mr. Don Cardenas. What up, baby?
I don't think I'm able to match that energy right now, Blake.
Well, you got to go then. How you doing, sir?
Very good, very good. Awesome. Very happy to be here finally. After some few misfires with our scheduling before, but especially happy to be here now because not only is the book doing well on Kickstarter, we just hit our first stretch goal. So yes, that's, you know, we have 5 days left in the campaign. So it's always nice to hit your goal. That's always the main thing. But, you know, getting the book out to as many people as possible is the dream, is the goal. So whenever you can get past that, it's just icing on the cake.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It seems like lately with a lot of friends and just some ones I've worked on as well, it's last minute, like those, the final 48 hours used to get you like that hoorah bump, right? And then sometimes lately it's like that final 48 hours is like, are we gonna do it? And it's like, again, it's been getting it's been getting a little stressful on Kickstarter. But yeah, I'm glad you all are doing well. And same, I know there was so we've talked about doing this for a while. So stoked to have you on. Man, I didn't realize you had so many guitars. That is a collection.
Yeah, and there's a few more in front of me too.
Nice. I like that. So is that where you're at right now? Is this where you draw and everything?
Yeah, this is the office. In front of me is obviously all my screens, and then I got my iPad and my stuff, and I'm working traditionally. I got my tools here, and I just bust out the portable easel, and I work that way. So
very cool.
Yeah, this is the pit.
Pete, what up? Shout out to awesome Pete Collins.
Hey, Pete.
Very, very good person. Saying hi. What's up? We got John Westoff in the chat, dropping a hot dog emoji. Love to see it. All right, Don, we're gonna get back to you. I got one more guest to bring out. This man has been on the show several times, but the last time he was on my show, he was but a regular man, and now he's become a Kickstarter mother buzzing legend. Let's get him out, Mr. Pat Shan, baby. Stop. Nice. What's up, bud? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm so stoked. Pat hopped on the show I produced the other day for a hot second to give a crowdfunding prediction in our New Year episode, and I got to talk to him for like a second, and then the show started, and I was like, oh man, I missed you, dude. I'm so glad to see you doing well, because it's so nice to see good things happening to good people, because you've always, you and like you, Charlie Stickney, Kevin Joseph, Will Allred, like all the, like when I was growing up in comics, being press, like you were all the group, and you were always reaching out, helping hands and new creators, and kind of shouldering them and showing them the ropes and stuff. And it's so cool to see, like, the stuff we're going to talk about tonight, what you're doing, like crowdfunding a convention of sorts, and a 10-year anniversary book. That's two big milestone campaigns. And Don, funding a trade paperback, 1, 2, 3, 4 issues successfully funded on Kickstarter, and then once again wrapped up in a new production, new covers and stuff. That's no small feat either. Both y'all are doing great indie comic things. And I just want to before we really get into it tonight, I want to take a moment and acknowledge that you're both doing well. In case you had any doubts, or the news lately has been heavy or weird, and you're just like, hey, you're both doing good work, and I'm real stoked to talk to you about it tonight. And I just, like, Pat, what the fuck, man? Like, we're 8 minutes in, I can say the F word. All right, I'm not monetized. But what has happened, dude? I remember, like, when you had the crew, and you had your in-person crew, because you would always, when you did like your Kickstarter fulfillment, like pizza parties, you always take a picture of y'all like filling books, and like, in person or around the table, and like office meetings and stuff. And I mean, just, and then the sexy comics started taking off, and still doing the cool fantasy books, and still doing Destiny New York. I mean,
of course.
What happened to like really push you, and just because something happened to where you were like, we can do this, F it, we're doing it. Like, it's like you found that momentum somewhere.
Yeah. When I first started to get published in comics, get some freelance gigs, I used to dream of a time where I could have a book a month at every publisher. I had so many ideas for stories. And when I came up as a writer, my first focus was on prose novels. I always wanted to be a novelist. And I was inspired by the Stephen King model, where he has, a book or more a year, to the point where when he first started, he had so many ideas that he had to put out books under his pen name, Richard Bachman, to not compete with himself, So I always had so many ideas for stories, and I saw comics as a way, just by how they come out, how many comics come out per month, to really be able to tell all my stories. And at that time, though, I was waiting on publishers to say yes to me. And for a time, that yes came from Zenoscope, staff position. There were months where I was doing, minimum usually 3 to 4 comics per month there. But there were times where I was doing 7 or 8 comics per month. So I got really addicted to that ability to be able to share my stories monthly with really no limit on how many stories I could tell. And then when I started to do it myself, I just started slower. I wanted to just make sure that I could handle it. But now that I have really gotten a handle on what Kickstarter is, how I can work it for me, how I can expand and employ my friends, family, and other creators that I've met in this business, now I could take that dream of writing for different publishers, multiple books per month, and just do it all myself.
Yeah, I was muted. I was starting to talk. I was like, oh, I'm muted. I was like, no, that's the dream. Like doing it for yourself. And you've totally put the work in. And I like how you mentioned that because when you look at what you're doing right now, like when you say like we started slow, because like it sure doesn't feel like you're moving slow right now, right? But you were careful in the beginning. You tested the waters to see what you could do, and yeah, like those monthly Kickstarter releases, I still hear like whisper. It's funny, because it's when people are like, I'm thinking about doing 3 campaigns this year, and it's like, well, who am I, Pat Shand? And it's like,
I mean, listen, I think that anybody can do it. It takes a lot of work for sure. And I mean, I was doing it all myself as far as the fulfillment. I always wanted to work with editors just because, I can't be the final word, the final I on my work, because we get so, especially with graphic novels, that's what we started at doing 2, then 3, then 6 or 7 graphic novels per year. Those are long scripts that you spend a very long time with. And as closely as you can read, I feel like you always need a second or third eye just to catch things that are so, you get in the rhythm of reading the same story over and over. So I always work with editors. But as far as fulfillment, for years I was doing it myself, some smaller campaigns, some bigger campaigns. And I think that if I could do that in an apartment with just my hands, bubble wrap and some Geminis and a printer for labels, I really think that anybody could do it. Just go full throttle. I'm proud of the fact that I do have a drive to work hard, and I do I've spent years honing my craft, but I don't think that I'm special in that, oh yeah, Pat Shen can do this. No, I think that anybody who wants to do this and puts in the work can do this.
Hell yeah. Now, Don, I don't know if you realize this, Don, because I didn't realize it because it's been a hot minute, but you have another book that is in the direct market right now. Like Spend the Night Volume 1, it looks like is finally hit some shops. I saw.
Yeah, that's I'm not with the book anymore. Because that I had worked on the first was it 4 or 5 issues?
Yeah.
And there's but with scheduling and things like that, it was a lot of work, that book. The author Jackie Kong, she was very like, she had, she very much had her vision for the book.
Yes.
And great, it was great, but it ended up being so much work for me in my end, where while I didn't fully mind, I don't mind working hard on a book, making, trying to make the book look the best it could possibly be. I was kind of feeling like I wasn't being able to be the artist on the book, and that's fine. She can have her, you can make your book how you want to make your book. That's a beautiful thing about comics, right?
Yeah.
So I just, with that, and plus just, scheduling, and I really just wanted to focus on Evie and the Helsings because that's my baby with Steve Bryant, and I had to make a tough choice, and I had to say I had to give up one of them, but Jackie put a ton of work into getting that book out to the direct market for sure. There's a lot of blood, sweat and tears that were put into that work. There's beautiful color work by Roman Gubsky. It's just, it's a fun book. It's definitely a fun book. I'm not knocking the book at it by any means whatsoever. Please go check it out. But yeah, just on my personal end, like it was like the, those things you have to make, because as the artist, I can only do so much, and I couldn't, I'm not in a position in my life where I'm like, I can devote, I can do the all-nighters, I can pull, 15-hour days drawing and stuff like that. That just doesn't work for me. So I'm definitely, like I had to pick my battles. I had to pick my kids, and then that Evie was always going to win, just because that's my creator-owned book with Steve. It is the book that I think, at least at this point in my life, like it was the book I was becoming an artist to draw. So
nice. Yeah, it was weird. The reason I brought it was one of the, I worked on it at Metal Ninja, right? My old job. So it was like, it was just funny because I saw it pop up on the internet and I was like, oh shit. And then I knew you were coming on today, and then I am now remembering that you did Lee. I knew that and forgot. So
I forgot you were doing some of the work on there. Yeah. No.
Book with the drama, and I got fired. And it's just like, this is what everybody tunes in for, folks.
I didn't know that was that book was the reason why.
No. That was not the reason. Okay. But that was it was just funny. It was good to see it it was good to see it pop up. I was like, I saw another one, a Red 5 book we were working on too. And I was like, it's just you forget when you're working in comics, because everything, like, you never have time for anything.
Yeah.
Then you forget that, like, outside when you're not working on it, like, I haven't seen those books in months, and they're finally coming out, but then when you're dealing with deadlines and trying to get stuff to the printers, trying to get stuff to the designers, and like, it's you guys know, it's a madhouse over here in indie comics land.
For sure.
But no, I'm glad I've reading them both. Evie's I'm definitely feel, and you just, I don't like, there's a lot more, there's more you, like, I can feel like you in there more, right? And this, like, you get to do, it's like you said, it's your baby. You get to be more involved in the art and the direction and the decisions. I had a lot of fun reading that, man. It's a fun book, and like I said, it's cool to see. It's. Am I wrong in saying this? Is it becoming more rare? It seems like the single issue chapters, like more and more, we're getting like 48, 60 page things, or an OGN.
I don't think you're wrong in saying that, and I definitely understand why. Because, running single issue Kickstarters for a series, essentially, it's pretty risky unless you've established, have a really well established machine. And Steve kind of had a bit of that, because he had run single issue Kickstarters for his previous books, The Catch, and he had many successful Kickstarters previously with his Athena Voltaire books and many other ones. And so, I kind of just hopped on to Steve's, Kickstarter machine, and was learning the ropes from him and all that. And when it came for the trade collection after the 4 issues, we decided, like, well, I'm going to put this one under my name, and then we're going to move it forward this way. Because I know Steve's getting the rights back to Athena Voltaire this year, very soon, actually. And as much as, Evie in the Helsings is my baby and his baby, I know Athena is like that's his big main love book, and there's no one happier than I that he's getting it back in his hands. And I know he wants to focus getting those out as well as soon as he possibly can, because I know he's chomping at the bit to get more stories with that character out. But it's, we decided to do the single issues because we just felt like it felt right. We're also, you don't want to invest all the time. For us, Evie was very much like, we're going to do this. If I couldn't just do one issue, I would have to do the whole thing. Like I wouldn't be happy just doing one issue. So it's like, we either do that, risk this new thing with a whole graphic novel, or we test the waters with the first issue. And the first issue Kickstarter was just insane. We got funded in less than 24 hours. We more than doubled our goal. It was amazing. And then, as you expect, the consecutive Kickstarters were didn't quite reach those highs, but they were all successful, all hit our goal, all hit stretch goals. So we were feeling very confident going into doing a trade. And we had discussions before about like, well, should we do the second volume just as a trade? Have the first 4 issues and then continue on with full trades. And we were leaning towards that for a good long while, but essentially we're just like, no, we still like the single issue format. So we're going to keep trying that. And as long as people keep coming out and supporting it, that's what we're going to do. I fully understand anyone who's doing larger one-shot style issues because, yeah, that just makes a lot of sense. Like I have ideas for several things like that I would eventually like to do. And I think that's, it's all fine. I don't think Kickstarter's in a place where you kind of have to do one thing. Especially since the pandemic, like it's very much a roller coaster out there, because 6 months ago, there were books I could have sworn would have been just blockbuster Kickstarters were not hitting with people, and we're not getting, as highly funded as I thought they would. I would normally think they would be. And it's nothing to do with the quality. It's just, you can't, especially these days with the world being what it is, you can't tell what's going to latch on, what's going to hit with people. So, as long as you stay consistent and keep, putting out what, your best work and all that, and people keep coming back to it, that's all you can try to do.
I consistent doing your best work. And, like I keep hearing the phrase like human first. And I feel like it means a lot of different things, but in a land where like, just humans aren't doing everything like they're not doing everything anymore. Right. And sometimes you can tell, right. And so, but I was listening to Nick Patera talk about this, and he was like, being true to yourself, and cause he was worried about like young artists and AI and being like, oh, I'm not ever going to be able to draw as good as like this image AI can make. Like when you're starting out, like it's kind of like, it's kind of defeatist. And he was just like, but you can try and beat yourself every day. Right. And be yourself and beat yourself. And you're echoing that statement. And Pat echoes that statement as well, because I mean, I just, I made a joke that Pat's gonna be like the new Zenoscope, right? And it's like he's you could say that, but it's something else. It's Pat Shanland, right? It's not this and it's not that. It's his own publisher with its own vibe and its own name, and you're all doing that. You're on crowdfunding, doing different things, telling different kinds of stories, really showing what's great about the platform, and is it hard? Like, when like, especially like Pat, when you have like a lot of projects and stuff going like simultaneously, and you're looking at trends and you're looking at what's selling and what's hot, and is it ever hard to be like, no, we're going to keep doing things my way and not like the easy money way, or not the,
as far as observing what's going well, and let me just say too, these Evie campaigns always look great, well put together. They look beautiful, so congrats on these. I keep an eye out for what's doing well on Kickstarter, more for just seeing trending artists that I might want to collaborate with. As far as trends that are hot outside of comics, those kind of draw my eye in a way, because that's really what helped me conceive Cheeky Comics, in that I noticed, one, there's the collector's market angle. And just from my time at Zenoscope and just seeing how well Coffin Comics does from a collector's standpoint, those that definitely inspires me, just finding artists to collaborate with and just seeing how the collector's market kind of is booming in comics in a similar way to Pokemon cards, but from a story and genre angle. With Cheeky Comics, I looked outside of comics and I saw that there was a thirst in prose. You know, the most popular genre in prose is romance. That's been true for decades, maybe more. And comics doesn't really touch on the idea as much as you would think of spicy romance. You know, you saw books like Sunstone pop off and become the best-selling Top Cow book of all time, and that at the time was pretty solitary in being an ongoing sort of epic, not safe for work romance that focused on characters and story and theme above the spiciness. It didn't let the genre dictate what the book was going to be. It maintained its focus on character, and that's how I want to approach all genres. But I definitely saw when we did Thirsty, Cheeky, and Steamy, that first trilogy of adult stories, I saw that there was that same thirst in comics that you see in prose for, you know, more adult romance that is character based. So just seeing that outside of comics inspired me for sure. And I continued to look toward what's hot in, you know, in the book industry to see what comics isn't really hitting on, because, you know, just go out in the world and you're way more likely to see someone reading a novel than you are reading a comic in public. It's just the media are on different levels as far as popularity and visibility. And I think that is sort of related to how comics is seen as not a medium, but a genre. It's seen as superhero books. You know, you talk to comics about someone who doesn't read comics, and their first thought is superhero books. And sometimes their second thought is, oh, they still publish comics? You know, like people don't really know. So I grew up just loving stories. So I love to see what comics isn't doing that prevents us from being a more well-known medium to people who are thirsty to read stories, just stories.
Nice. And Don, I pick up some of these vibes in Evie, because like it's a vampire hunter book, right? And there's great bloody splashes and neck biting and gore, but there's self-discovery. There's that like band camaraderie that you made me miss, that like when I used to like play terrible bass in high school, right? But like we were gonna make it, you know.
Yeah. That was really something that was not what the book was pitched to me as with Steve. It was very much a comedy, like a horror slapstick almost comedy thing with a male protagonist. And Steve had, been trying to get it off the ground for a while. And, I've known Steve for over a decade. We've tried to find projects to work together with each other on. And eventually he just like gave me a call and he's like, hey, I got this really dumb idea. And I'm like, say less. What is it? I'm with you. So he literally just like, he sent me an image and it was like it was Van Helsing, but it was like in the Van Halen font kind of logo with like the classic wings and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was that from Django Unchained? Like you had my attention, but you had my interest. Now you have my attention. So it's like, he was just telling me about the book and I'm like, okay. And I'm just like, can I just give you some thoughts? And he's like, go for it. And I'm like, can we make the protagonist a female character? Because one, at the time, it's still now really, like I've been listening to a lot of female fronted heavy metal, rock and stuff like that. So I thought that would be a cool thing to do. Two, also to kind of like deviate it more from the, it being a Eddie Van Halen, satire-ish type of thing. And also just because I just felt like, it just felt right to do so. And then as we were developing the characters and all that, because he had basic outlines of the characters, but their appearances and so much about them was not set in stone at all. And I just kind of like, I don't want to say steamrolled. I just like info dumped him because I instantly was like sending messages, emails, like here's all this canon in my head that is coming with these characters in these books. Use it, don't use it. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. And it really developed from something being more comedic to something being more, like it is now. A little bit, we were trying to do a little bit of everything. We try to toss some comedy in there from time to time. There's a particular bit in the last issue with a symbol in a fight scene that people seem to really be enjoying, and which was a lot of fun to do when we're doing it. But it really is about someone who's, has this dream and she wants to do this thing. She never wanted to be a vampire hunter, but now she's forced to take the mantle because whether she wants to do it or not, she's a Van Helsing and they know she's next in line. So they're going to come after her whether she likes it or not. So as someone who, has his responsibilities and has the things that he wants to do in his dreams and has to like really figure out how to learn how to do both. That's what really, I wanted to bring to Evie. Like just, she has to rely on this found family of her band and the interactions between them and kind of reconnecting with her, family's legacy and things like that. And that's where the character of Marcus comes in, who rapidly became one of my favorite characters because Steve and I had so many conversations about him and things we're going to do with him and all that. We're really excited about this book. This is a book that I would love it for it to be my Hellboy. I would love to just do this for the rest of the time. We already have like 4 or 5 arcs,
I was going to ask,
idealized.
You mentioned like you guys were thinking about volume 2. Do we put it out all at once? So there's more. There's more coming.
I'm working on volume 2 right now. It's I can share that it's called Bark at the Moon. All our volume titles are definitely going to be homages to metal and rock albums. And if the name doesn't tell you what might be coming next in Evie's world, I'll let it be a surprise for you then. But that arc, the next volume, I'm very excited for because I had a lot of story input for that album or the album that arc, and because Steve let me do a lot with his first arc, but he had the skeleton of it already assembled, and I just got to inform certain scenes, the characters and stuff like that. But this one, I just said, Steve, I don't know if you have a second arc ready, but here's what I'm thinking we could do. And then he's like, well, shit, Don, I had all these ideas I wanted to do. And when you put them both together, it like dovetails perfectly. And that keeps happening with me and Steve, which is like a dream, and Pat, I'm sure you've had probably collaborations where it's like you're working with somebody and it's like, this feels so easy to develop with this person that it's like, are we doing it wrong? Is something not right? Because this feels too easy that everything's just coming together so quickly. And so like, there's been a couple, there's maybe been a couple hills that one of us has had to die on about something, but I honestly couldn't recall. I'm just assuming there were, because I can't recall any that we've actually have to do. And it's great because Pat, as you mentioned, like getting second eyes on things. Steve is a fantastic artist. So I know I can rely on Steve to tell me like, hey, you know what? You want to try this or something like this if I'm having trouble with something. Right. But he, as I like to say, gives me more than enough rope to hang myself with on everything. So if I want to add panels to like stretch out a scene or whatever, or condense something, he's all for it. And pretty much every single fight scene is just like pages, blah blah blah. They fight. Here's where it ends. So, and and that's what I love about Steve. And he's got no ego about any of this stuff. And it makes it real hard for you to have an ego about any of this stuff because it's just, we're all just trying to do our best. And then we have, we had our colorist, Jason Millay, who's just killer. Like his work on the book, I think really is undersold because he went, because we have some like pastiches of rock clubs that exist in LA. He actually like researched like what kind of lighting they use to like light the scenes for these clubs that we're in. And I
That's
think he
cool.
really nails it. And
yeah, the live music scenes are dope, and that's crazy because the color palette, like a lot of those scenes, like are kind of, it makes sense that they're different because it's like in a club or live music,
Yeah.
right? But it's like it has that vibe, like you can almost see, like, I'm old, right? So you can almost see like this the cigarette smoke in the air, you know, like
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like
yeah,
he gets
yeah.
it. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I wish I was creative. I mean, I'm not like not creative. I'm like, but you know, like I bought a new iPad and a pen because I keep stumbling into design jobs, and I make a lot of silly little graphics for people and stuff and Kickstarter pages. And I was like, oh, I'll start like kind of maybe learning to draw some things, right? And I get more design, do more design. I really don't. I read on it as I've barely, I haven't really used this pen at all. I'm still not used to like designing on it. So I don't edit video on it. I edit video. Anyway, long story short. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to start drawing and be creative. And
you are doing creative work though.
Yeah,
it all starts somewhere.
It's,
you know?
I'm very lucky and get to like day job comics. Like I don't like Pat knows, right? There's a million comic book jobs that, like, when you tell people I work in comics, it can mean so many things, right? And I do more production marketing shit, but it's all very comic book, you know, focused. And you know, we come up with like plans and stuff for Free Comic Book Day, and so, you know, and it's cool, you know, it's always outside looking in, right? Like you see like Pat makes like 587 comic books a year, and like you're drawing these like awesome like vampires like splash pages like that are juxtaposed against like a sweet like hard rock metal scene, right? And it's with this like cool front woman, and it's just, I was like, man, I want to do that. I want to do that part, you know, like it's but it's
nothing's stopping you.
You guys do it well.
Like nothing's stopping you.
That's
Nothing's
true.
stopping you.
Well,
I guess maybe time but
and
like,
ability. Well, no, because you can learn.
I never let ability stop me. Like I've been making comics, you know, in some capacity for probably like a decade now, and I could look back on some stuff and I'd be like, woof. But you know what? I did it. You know, done is better than perfect, man.
It's true.
That's very true. We got so people are saying hey in the chat. We got, back when we were talking romance, we got some fans of romance, and then we got, let's see, Michael Bologna says romance has moved markets all over, which yes, not just with prose but with manga and anime as well. If it weren't for some shoujo demographic, we wouldn't have manga as we know it on the shelves. I don't not believe that. I just heard about boys love manga, right? And it's like blowing up. So yeah. I did the baby step. I picked up the summer Hikaru Died, which is like not officially boys love manga, but kinda, and it's really like sad and touching and also terrifying. It's so weird. But anyway, I that's just a subgenre I fell into, and that's a small kernel of it, right? It's this huge thing.
You see, in manga, there is such a wide variety of genre and even just topics that could become blow up series. Like you can go to a Barnes and Noble and look at the shelf and see, like, you know, I fell in love with my veterinary assistant, volume 14. You know, like these titles that publishers in the American comic sphere wouldn't even consider giving a 3-issue series are running for thousands of pages, and people are loving them. And those stories speak to people because they're about humans, and they're telling stories that you can't just, you know, find anywhere. You know, they're unique to the genre, but they speak to a larger idea of people wanting different kinds of stories.
Yes. Like I have lost friends, right, and had weird conversations with them, and so like I can connect with some of these characters in the Summer Hikaru Died, right? Even though I've never had a friend like admit that he's dead and possessed and open up his chest and tell me to stick my hand in it, which was a scene in this book which was fucking nuts, right? And it was just like it was like scary, it was like weird and scary and like, you know, like it was like there was like a romantic like steaminess about it too, right? It's I love that, like, even genre fiction isn't pigeonholed anymore, right? Like, you can't just have horror, you can't just have sci-fi. Like Pat said, you have to like find that kind of that universality, that little kernel of existence that we can latch onto and be like, oh yeah, like I felt that, I experienced that. You know, like Don just keeps reminding me how I was kicked out of a band and like missed this whole epic part of my life. Like,
would it have been that epic though? I mean,
probably not.
All the guitars behind me, been in bands. I never longed to be cramped in a van with a bunch of dudes driving around the country. That was never. I just like making and playing music, and thankfully technology is at the place where I can just do that from the comfort of this office and do whatever I want with that. And going back to, you know, the idea of just like, you know, this connecting with people, like that's, you know, the amazing thing about comics right now is that it has never been easier in the history of comics to make your comic and get it out to people. Sure, it's a double-edged sword because it's the easiest time to get your comic out to people. So many people are doing it. But, you know, what's going to break through, what's going to keep going through is like if you have your stories and they connect with people on that human level, whatever that human feeling is. You know, for me, you know, Evie and the Helsings is about, you know, the camaraderie between a band, about struggling with responsibility and dreams. And, you know, for me, you know, I'm hoping that connects with other people about that. Or if people just like a cool chick, you know, kicking vampire ass, fine. That's cool too. I have just plenty of media that I enjoy just for the bare, you know, just because it's a hamburger that goes down good that day, you know. So it's all for that. But yeah, connecting with people on, I think that's what the main thing is. So and that can easily get lost when people are, you know, trying to like overanalyze why a book is doing well. Why is this doing well? You know, Pat kind of, you know, hit it on the head with like, you're just trying to make stories that humans connect with. That's what you're seeing the trend is. And that's a trend throughout the history of time. It's just, what is it they're connecting with now that comics isn't doing that I can fill that void with?
Well, that is a great segue, Don, because
yeah.
Pat is filling that void literally on Kickstarter right now. Pat, tell us about this fan event, this like where the idea came from. I cannot imagine there's so much planning that has to go in something. You even have like people, you can even help people sort of, you have a group of hotels people can choose from and stuff if they stay. So like, why this is like, is this better or worse than an anthology, or about the same? Like it seems like a lot of work.
I just having done both, this for sure. However, I have to give kudos to Ralph Tedesco. We brought him on this year as the director of development at Space Between. And, you know, a Space Between fan event is a thing that I've wanted to do for a long time. And Ralph and I have talked about it, but I imagined doing it in the future. You know, like I imagined testing the waters. Like for example, a test of the waters is of New York Comic Con 2024. We flew out Lyrics to be sponsored at our booth and to sign there for the whole con, and just trying things like that where we're, you know, making our appearance at a convention that we don't own a bit more exciting. But I brought Ralph on and he was like, no, let's do it now, you know? So Steve, Shannon, Chris, and I have, you know, put our heads together and come up with this. You know, it's going to be like a, you know, a meetup between a mix-up that is between a fan meetup and a small convention. You know, it's going to be single room, very intimate, we're bringing out 3 artists. We're flying out Athala M, who for her first appearance in the States. She has been one of our main Cheeky Comics artists since the very beginning. We're bringing Joe Picard, and we're bringing Keith Garvey, and our entire staff. You know, we have myself, we have Ralph, we have some of our other writers coming out, and we're going to show the readers the family vibe that we've built as a company, that we get every night, that we do packing sessions, that we do our writers room retreats. You know, we're going to bring that to our readers. We have exclusive covers for the event. We have covers that people can get as founders covers to help us fund the event, who, if they can't make it, they can still get those founders covers shipped to them. We're going to do writers' rooms during the event so people can actually contribute to some of our books and get a story by credit in a release next year, and just have some fun, you know, catered. We'll have an after party. We'll have a welcome event, and just, you know, small, focused, family-oriented gathering.
That's so rad. And I thought this was because, you know, not everybody can afford to travel, or, you know, depending on when it's at, you know, people have kids, people have families, jobs, all sorts of crazy stuff. Right. And like, I loved how you all came up with a way to include your space between fans that can't make it. Right. There's all these exclusive covers, like you said, the founding options, all the, that was real smart. And, you know, of course, like, you know, you would cover all those bases, because that's, you've done such a good job of, like, that's why your Kickstarters are so successful, because you think of that. And I wish I could think like that, because that would be a thing I missed out, right? Because you'd be like, I would get lost in the planning and like, who are we gonna have come out here and do this and do that, and, you know, and then it's like, oh, we forgot we should like offer something for the people that can't make it. I've thought for a long time it's kind of silly that, you know, if San Diego Comic-Con sold a ticket for $80 or so, and I could watch panels like from home, I'll probably pay for that. You know, like there's, if you could watch Hall H and not have to sleep outside and just, you know, like, it's kind of silly they don't do that. Are you thinking of anything like that? Like, for any kind of like exclusive, like, media for your fans and stuff that can't make it, or maybe like possible like live streams or podcast? Or is it more like in person? Are you more focused on that?
We will do, all right, so we do our space between vlog, so we'll definitely get some vlog footage so people can get the experience as a video. And we will likely do a whatnot from the event, maybe something that's set either the morning before the event or maybe the evening after, just something to get on whatnot to give people more of a, you know, or maybe even during the event. I'm not sure. So that's still being worked out, but we definitely do want some multimedia component to this.
Nice. I am always so impressed. You have such a good eye for covers and cover art. And the interiors of the books are gorgeous too. But you always really, you really know like how to do a variant, right? And how do you handle like art direction? Like does your team get like a significant amount of input on that, or like if you find an artist, do you show the team like how do you, because you always have fucking bangers, it's ridiculous, and it's just, you know, is there like, do you vote on them? Like how do you find these things?
Well, all right, so we have just artists that we've seen over time who have either submitted to us, who we've seen. You know, we do have a chat where if there's someone who one of us likes who we haven't used, we'll pop them in. And then there are artists that we've used over time. Like, for example, this week, an artist that we've used maybe like a dozen or 24 times before, Chris, our publisher, he wrote that they're willing to do a monthly cover for us, or do we want to try to do 2 a month? So we'll have conversations like that where we'll just talk about how an artist has performed for us and how much we want to use them. And, you know, we'll just watch those trends as far as what our fans want from us and who we enjoy working with the most. Um, and as far as just, you know, the themes of the covers, I can use this fan event as a great example, you know. So we had, I asked Othala M just to do, you know, a standard, you know, just do a Countless Little Deaths variant. And she turned in that Countless Little Deaths one, which is of Mabel the vampire with the masquerade mask and the lingerie outfit. And that came in first before we really discussed the theme for the event. And then Ralph posted it in our fan event chat that we really should nail down a theme for the covers. And I sent him Othello's cover, and I was like, well, she just did this. This is awesome to me. So let's go masquerade for the entire event. You know, we can do the event with a masquerade theme itself. All the fan event covers will be masquerade. And then through that conversation, we came up with doing masquerade for the fan event, and the founders covers. We decided more of like a, you know, fancy dress party, red carpet vibe, you know, so we have those two themes that just came naturally out of seeing the art come in and seeing which pieces that we liked.
That's cool. That's also really cool that you have you can kind of let your projects evolve like that. You don't always get that opportunity, right? Like sometimes it's like sometimes it comes in and you got to deal with it, and maybe the colorist can make it a little better or something, you know, like sometimes you got to take what you got. So that it's cool when you can when you have different I've worked for people like that though, and it makes sense with all the projects you saw and all the creators. Like you probably have, do you have like a secret like folder of just like art, like you could you just like pull a cover out of a hat if you really like needed to? Do you have art sitting around?
Sometimes, yeah. You know, there are some covers that we've gotten that we haven't used that sometimes will turn into a print. You know, sometimes if I have, you know, like a doubt about the artist's process, we might pull a cover and not use it until we know a bit more. There's, you know, I try to work about, you know, I used to work a year ahead of time. Like I wanted to in January book out the entire year of covers, but now it's just too much, you know, and like I want to be excited and just have things rolling in on a more regular basis. So now, for example, it's January. Our publisher Chris just hit me with like all the our May releases, or our May launches, that is, and the covers that we need to get going for those. So he gave me a list where he broke down those titles and how many cover slots I put into a publishing schedule, and then I'll look at those. And for the most part, I'll look at that myself and be like, all right, get this artist on this. I'll write a concept and he'll act on that. But sometimes I'll just be like, you know, pitch me, for example, Death Goddess of Cthulhu. We're doing an annual of that later on this year, I think May. And I had a few ideas for cover concepts, but I was like, you know, we have a few slots here, and I have just spent about 40 minutes working on, you know, like 25 cover concepts. So how about you pitch me 3 or 4 cover concepts for this, and then we'll see which ones are cool, and then we'll see which artists match those vibes.
Nice. Oh yeah, I like that. It does sound a little less like more fun and less stressful is like the way to do it, right? That does seem.
Yeah.
You've always seemed like a pretty. I mean, I've known you for a few years now, and it's, you know, you've always seemed like you've always been real chill and fun and upbeat, and you're a lot busier now, and you still seem that way. So it seems like the keeping it fun and keeping it happy seems to be working, right? Because I can't. I mean, I know what it's like working like high flow small teams. It's heavy and it's late nights and it's a lot, you know. And so how do you? I mean, it goes for both of you. Running fucking Kickstarters is hard. Like, you know, even Don, you've won. You guys have won. But you still got a few days, and you got stretch goals and stuff. And then if you get the stretch goals, you got to update the stretch goal graphics, you know. And then if the campaign funds, and you got to send out the surveys, and you got to make the book. You got to get it printed. hopefully that goes well. You know, there's this,
it could definitely be said that the funding is the easy part.
yeah.
You know, then after that, it's just praying to God nothing happens with the printing, everything goes okay. Praying that everything you're shipping out, as great as Gemini mailers are, nothing gets damaged. Everything goes out. All the little extras you have get together. And yeah, you know, again, Steve's, you know, even though it's, you know, I'm, you know, technically running it, you know, Steve is the partner in this. So like he's, you know, if so, you know, we alternate doing updates. You know, he does all the graphic stuff because he has his setup. Like I said, I just jumped on his machine. So, but what I don't think he expected when we first started working together was like, I'm like, well, I'm hands on too. So like, how am I going to help you with fulfillment? So I'm not going to let you just do it all. And he's like, oh, and Steve and I live in the same state, but he lives like 4+ hours from me. So it wasn't super feasible for me to like go drive down there for a day and then, you know, try to fulfill everything. So we actually have it set up to where, you know, we have a split, like stuff comes to me to fulfill, stuff goes to him to fulfill.
nice.
If we got to do sketches or whatever, we'll ship it back or whatever. Will it cost us a little bit extra overall? Yeah, but it's sharing. It's, you know, sharing the load. You know, it's taking that off because, you know, again, the funding, you know, is stressful and hard. Even if you fund the same day, you still got the rest of the campaign, hoping not everybody cancels, you know, or hoping there's no chargebacks, or hoping that, you know, it just doesn't stay still for too long. That's what drives that's, you know, that's the real stressful part about Kickstarters for me anyway, is when there's just been no movement. It's one thing, it was like, oh, 3 people pledged, oh, one person canceled, oh, you know, like that 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing. I can deal with that. It's just when there's like silence and you're trying to pump out posts and stuff like that and to get it out there, and it's like, what am I not doing right? What am I doing? And then you'll have a day where you get like, you know, 12, 15 backers, and you shoot past your goal and you're like, oh, okay, like I don't know what I did, I don't know what happened, but there it is, you know. So yeah, it's never easy running Kickstarter, even if it's a small one or a huge one. It's just a ton of work, and I think a lot of I'm appreciative that a lot of backers know that now. Like I still remember the early days of Kickstarter where people were like, "What? You're paying yourself? How dare you?" Like it's like, and now I feel like it is the vast majority of like, well, how much are you guys getting paid? Because you guys better be getting paid. And it's like, you know, we have that shift, and it's just an understanding that there's so much work. Because, you know, I wish we could have things, you know, we can't compete with the same prices of the big boys, but, you know, we can do them better by just making the books that, you know, we put everything into. And, you know, not a shot at every publisher, but have it printed on actual nice paper,
Oh, yeah.
nice stock and all that. You know, that was a big thing with Steve. He wanted our single issues to have a nice hardy cover, good paper stock, and that's the same with the trade books. So, but yeah, I went off weirdly off tangent here, but
No,
yeah, it's a lot. It is, you know, it's hard work every step of the way, but it's worth it. And do I wish we didn't have to do it? Of course. Who doesn't want, who like, who
if
in any
you're a
creative
DC,
field?
you still have to do it. You know, I mean,
Yeah, you
even
know, even like prose authors, like, you know, their publishers are like, okay, what's your plan for marketing to you? And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? So there's always this extra layer of work. And not to start an artist versus writers debate things, because I fully acknowledge how much extra work writers have to put in above the writing. Yeah, sure, maybe the writing in of itself isn't as time consuming as the art, but then I don't know a single writer who doesn't also know how to letter, or knows how to flat, or does pre-press on books, or assumes all the marketing and all that, or is paying the artist out of pocket. Like there's sacrifices on both ends. And so yeah, these are, so when it develops into that artist versus writer debate with that kind of stuff, it's just ridiculous to me, because it's like no one wins when you're arguing with each other. But it's all hard, man. It's just relative.
I love
Sure,
that.
yeah.
No one wins. That's just,
No one wins.
That's just, why do you guys love comics? No one wins. That's just
no one wins, but But you know what? To this day, it's still awesome to hold a comic in your hand that you made.
Oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
That's the best feeling.
Dude, my name is in the like I get listed on like the little tiny production credits for the future is that gets released in comic book shops. It's like we just dropped a trade paperback, and it's like in the trade paperback, it's like it says like Prana, Prana Direct Market Solutions, and it lists the team, and I'm on there, and like, dude, that was fucking cool, right? Like, I get to because of that, I get to see like the covers when the covers come in, like before anyone's seen them. I get to see roughs of the covers sometimes before they're finished. So it's very rewarding. I do have a question. I kind of know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway, just to get your guys' thoughts. Pat basically is a publisher, or you're doing everything, but is there? I know you've talked about the book market, and I've heard recently that the graphic novels are surging in the book market because you mentioned there's this there's a reader thirst, and a lot of that like the steamy content, and it has to be good, right? They want good writing and good storytelling with their smut, and so there's plenty of bad smut out there, but they're having a hard time finding good stuff. I've heard that they have started to find not safe for work comics, and they're picking up. They don't like the single issues though. They like the trade paperbacks. And this is kind of slowly happening with like other, not just adult content, like with the sci-fi, and, there's plenty of horror comics, right? Anyway, is there thoughts of, do you guys have still thoughts of the direct market? Like Don, you have a trade paperback right now, right? That's like a pitch machine. Like the publishers, when you can take that and show off a whole trade, like they love that shit. But it just may not be your interest either.
1,000%. Having the book, that feels like you've achieved that next level. At least even just with going to shows and having a full book, that's so much easier to get in someone's hands over 4 issues of a comic, right? And me, I'm a person who loves single issues, but if I had the choice from buying something from someone's table, I'm going to probably buy the collected edition.
Oh yeah.
And Steve and I put a lot of work, mostly Steve, to be honest, put a lot of work into making the collection really worthwhile, because I love back matter. I love all the behind the scenes stuff. And Steve put so much of that in there. It's 176 pages. It is the second biggest book he's ever assembled. And it's something that, we're like really looking forward to getting out to people. In terms of publishers, well, it's kind of hard to say that because, I don't want to speak for Steve, but, Steve has not had the best run of luck with working with smaller publishers and their practices. So I am fully with, he's definitely like takes every opportunity or possible way to go with that with a pound of salt. And I fully agree with him. I'd rather err on the side of caution these days, because so many of these smaller publishers, who I'm sure start out with the best intentions, things just kind of go awry and things don't end up well. And then you get stuff like Action Lab, where there's a lot of discord amongst people about treatment and books and yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. And, other publishers around that as well. So, we love to be able to get this into direct market and out to people 1,000%. It's just really like, what does that look like? Who do we partner with? And, and that's something that's kind of changing all the time, because like with the book Spend the Night, Jackie's doing it, pretty much doing it all herself. She's working closely, I know, with the Metal Ninja Studios folks, and all that. But in terms like, she was contacting Lunar Distribution to get distributed and all that.
Yeah, I noticed there was no publisher tag on the cover. I thought that was
it's just under Kong Comics. So so there is possibilities to like get out there with all that. I'm just you just got to find those avenues to do it. So no, I'm not against publishers and stuff. Steve and I've just today we got an interesting offer from someone about translations in other countries. And that's something we'll explore when the time, in a little while. But so it's really just, I want the book. I want this book out to everybody. If I could get it into the stands on Target, in Walmart, in whatever Barnes and Nobles that are left, whatever mom and pop bookstores that are left. If I could do that, or just comic shops, yeah, that's 1000% the goal. It's just I don't want to jump at something where it ends up being that we are locked with doing anything in the book for some period of time because of some fine print somewhere or someone doesn't follow through with something. And yeah, and I'm very new to all of it, and I'm not trying to trash talk any people who do that kind of thing with getting books out there. I'm just saying, like, I'm approaching everything very, very, very cautiously. Kickstarter has been doing okay for us. We're in a position to where we don't need this to be gigantic in order to keep doing it. And so we also don't want to do that. We get into a situation to where we now have to meet a certain level in order to make it possible for us to keep doing the book.
Yeah.
So it's really a balancing act, and Pat's obviously just said, I'm, pulled the Thanos, I'm just going to do it myself, and just get it done. And, I applaud anyone who does that, like, cause that is just, in its own right, is just immense amount of work to just build something up like that, to have multiple people involved on a consistent basis, consistently put out books and all that. So it's asterisks everywhere, I guess, for my question.
What about you, Pat? Like, because there comes a time when you have the body of work you do, right? You start thinking about entering like other markets, libraries, stuff like that. With have you, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, no, Blake, I don't care. I don't know. Like, what is it?
I mean, any retailer can always contact us, and we'll ship them, a wholesale option for all our stuff. It's trade, single issues, variant covers. We're happy to deal with them directly. As far as working with other publishers, it isn't something that I see us needing. I in the past, Black Mask licensed Destiny New York from us, and that was a cool deal because we got a fee per issue. But I think just in the future, I'm a lot more interested in just to stay doing it myself. I don't see really what any other publisher or distribution platform could do for us that we aren't doing right now. If it's just about interest, if I want to have a catalog of all our books that we can eventually just send to comic shops and they could order directly, like right now it has been more on a hit us up. Here is a list of what you can get. Just tell us what you want and we can cut you an amazing deal and just, send you our quote. But eventually we'll formalize it more where we'll have a go-to visual catalog that they can look through.
Like your own previews kind of thing?
Yeah.
Nice.
But fully digital, I don't want to print that at all. I don't want to have it where we're looked at as trying to distribute for anyone else. I just want it more as, like a catalog that you would get from a publisher that doesn't exist in comics. Like a HarperCollins might have their own catalog of their books coming out in 2026, like that kind of shit. Just here are our offerings. Here's what you can get. Just contact us here with your form, and we got you. Just do it all 100% direct.
Yeah, I fucking love you, dude. Like you're like, no, I could talk to another publisher or just be my own distributor, and that's like, but why not? Like,
yeah,
you're doing everything. I mean, you're distributing books monthly on crowdfunding, which I'm sure. How many people told you that wasn't possible? Like when you told them this idea, like I'm sure a lot of people are like, you can't do that. No one can,
a lot for sure. I mean,
Kickstarter probably tried to tell you couldn't do that for a second. They're probably like, wait.
So I definitely just in talking to people, when I made the decision to switch to doing, at the time, one campaign per month, a lot of people who were my contemporaries on Kickstarter thought that was a crazy idea, and that it just seemed like too much that I would be competing with myself. And my thought was, like there's dozens upon dozens of campaigns live getting funded. Am I competing with them? I don't think so. I think that we're all in this pool, So if I have projects coming out more frequently in that pool, I think that we're still going to stand out. I don't see it as just an endless supply that we're chipping away from ourselves or from anybody else. I think it's more that the more good projects are out, the more eyes are going to be on those projects, the more eyes are going to be everywhere else. So for me, doing more campaigns has been additive. Now, what does chip away a bit is just like the frequency of certain series. Like, for example, people know that Private Dance, for example, it's an ongoing series. It's a series that people have, spotted as a favorite among the cheeky titles. So I've seen, people will back a few issues, hold off, and then they know that they can catch up because it's going to be back on Kickstarter in 3 months. So that kind of thing is something that I've seen as a symptom of us doing a bunch of campaigns. But no, for sure, people thought it was crazy.
How's your like add-ons? Like, cause when you do like new campaign, I'm sure you got like a crazy backstock and inventory, right? So are you selling like on every campaign? Can you go back and like through an add-on menu and get missed space between stuff? And does that, is that worth, like, do you find people doing that? Like, or maybe like you said, maybe people will wait or they'll wait, like, but also like, are you selling a lot of comics that aren't the like campaign itself?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So I always used to have everything available. But now we can't because, all right. So Kickstarter, right? Kickstarter, their public position is that there is no limit to how many add-ons you can have. Not true. Not true at all. It stops at 99. You cannot go to 100. I have hit that cap and it just errors out. You just can't do it anymore. And then if you delete your 99th, guess what? You can do another one, right? So as long as you have under 100, then you could do it. I don't think Kickstarter even knows that for some reason. So I've had too many for sure. There is such a thing as overwhelming the audience with options. So I focus it, right? So like if I'm launching, for example, a Private Dance campaign. Private Dance is a drama with comedic elements. First and foremost, the add-ons will be Private Dance focused. I'll have back issues. I'll have the merch. I'll do all that. And second, I'm going to put in books that I think that readership would want, right? So I'll do books that are in that genre, in that feel first. And then I'll just put on our staples, like Countless Little Deaths, Nippy have all been big hits for us. If it's going to be a while before one of those come back in their own campaign, maybe I'll put on all our issues of those. Sometimes I'll do it where, say if a series has run for 4 issues, sometimes I'll do it where you can get issue 1 digitally and physically, and then the next level to get that series is the whole set. Or sometimes I'll just do it each individual issue. It just depends on how many add-ons I'm working with. But for sure, I'll put in a ton.
Nice. Oh man, I was just thinking of like making like 99 3x2 images, and I was like sad. I was like, I would never want to do that. It sucks when you got to make like 20.
I'm sure that limit exists just because Kickstarter is like, surely no one's gonna have 100 add-ons. That would be insane. And then they forget that comic people use Kickstarter, and that could easily add up to 100 extra
for
add-ons.
sure.
Well, and especially when when you start doing the not safe for work covers and your audience starts to expect it and want it like yours does, right? But it's like now every book that has 4 or 5 variants has 2 sets of those 4 or 5 variants. Like, yeah, all that stuff, it just starts to it starts to add up, and you got to, you know, if, whether it's a web store or a Kickstarter page or backer kit or whatever, you got to make a SKU for it. Right. So it's just like, it all starts to, this is the comic book life that I live in, is the program. So I didn't even think about, someone asked me the other day, they were like, would you want to just like program Kickstarter pages and not do the graphics or anything? And I was like, yeah, kind of. Like that would be pretty dope. I kind of like making the graphics, but I'm still nervous about it. Like I'm always like they're gonna fucking hate it, you know. Like I'm like I sort of don't hate it, and then I send it in. You know, I'm not confident in it much, but I know I do good work. But it stresses.
It sounds
me
like
out.
you're a real artist, like.
I guess,
that's,
yeah,
that's
right.
how it goes.
I got the
like, oh, they're gonna
imposter
hate
syndrome
this,
down.
and then it goes up. Like, oh, we love it. It goes up, and then as soon as you see it go up, you're like, oh man, I could have done this with it. I could have done this. Oh man, why didn't I do that? And it's just, yeah.
This font's crooked like that. How does no one see this? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, how did I miss that kerning? Oh no. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I guys, I've kept you for a little over an hour, and I know it's late, but real quick, just because there's for the handful of people that tuned in late or in the middle and just heard us rambling. I want to each of you real quick, and I want to just like remind us of what's live on Kickstarter, why we need it, and where we can follow you. So Don, real quick, hit us with that con table Evie pitch.
Well, Evie in the Helsings Volume 1 is on Kickstarter right now until February 3rd. Evie in the Helsings is a story of Evie Van Helsing, the last surviving member of the Van Helsing clan. When her mother passes, she ends up inheriting the mantle of Vampire Hunter #1, but it's something she's never wanted. She just wants to be a rock star. And she soon finds out that the world of vampires could care less. So she's gonna have to figure out how to both follow her dreams and survive her family's legacy. It's definitely a book that's leaned towards, having some fun with vampires and gore and band stuff and, incorporating all that fun stuff. But as I was saying earlier in the show, it's very much a book about trying to balance responsibilities and dreams and connections with people as you're trying to do that all along the way with just a bunch of crazy monsters. So it's on Kickstarter right now. You could find it at evieinthehelsings.com. Just go there. It'll take you right to the Kickstarter page. And I am on most of the socials. I'm at Blue Sky at Don Cardenas Art. Just search me there. I'm on Instagram at Don Cardenas Art. And I also host a podcast, Comics Coffee Metal. And you can just go to comicscoffeemetal.com. It'll take you right there where I get to interview a bunch of creatives about 3 of the greatest things in the world.
Hell yeah. I missed it. Cause for a while I didn't do the show for a few months, cause I was like stressed and stuff. And like, I really missed it. And it's like, even when it's, cause like all day today, like I was busy and I was like, man, I wish I didn't have to do the show tonight. And then I was like, no, you do want to do the show tonight, and then as soon as you sit down and like I turn the lights on and.
Oh yeah. Full disclosure. Like there's been plenty of times where I'm like, man, it's not about the person or whatever I'm doing. It's just like, I'm tired. For some reason, I schedule my recordings on the days I have to wake up at 4 a.m. and like, so I'm like at night, I'm like, I don't want to do this. But then the next thing I know, I start talking to the person. It's like, past hour and a half. I'm like, I got to get you to bed, person who's kind enough to talk to me,
right.
And all that. So it's very much a fun, thing. But like all things, I mean, your job could be petting puppies all day, and there's gonna be a morning you wake up, you're like, oh, these fucking puppies. I don't want to deal with this shit today. It's just the way it is, But I started the podcast as a selfish endeavor to talk to my friends more, and it's gotten to a point where I can just, I've met so many amazing people just through the podcast. People asked to be on the podcast, which is still nuts to me, and it's just. One of those things where it's like I enjoy doing it, and as long as I can help other creators spread the word on their stuff and talk about cool stuff, positive, fun things we're enjoying, I'm gonna keep doing it. So, which I'm sure is very much this for you. Like,
yeah, it's I mean, yeah, and I owe this show a lot. Like, I know it's my show and I do it, but like, I got a lot of opportunities. I got work, and I got to talk to a lot of huge creators. I got to meet some huge creators. I'm going to Comics Pro this year. I'm going in a few weeks. We're going to C2E2 this, and it's like,
Oh, you are? Okay.
yeah. And it's just, this Blake's Buzz started. Well, I started reviewing comics on a blog, writing, but like the whole podcast deal was always Kickstarter, crowdfunding, super indie focused. So yeah, I owe this scene a whole lot. And you motherfuckers never let me forget it. No, I was but yeah, I will never forget it. Also, this man, I love. By the Charlie Stickney says hi. He says get all the space between stuff, then you won't be missing anything. And he also says he needs Evie in the Helsings Volume 2. I agree. So what you should all do is you should go follow Don. He's fun to follow on social media. He likes to rock out on the guitar, posts cool art. He's just good people in general. Get over to Kickstarter, support this book so that we get more of it. That's how indie comics works. And when you support indie comics, you're a hero. All right, that's the rules. And if I'm not going to debate them. That's just what we're going to say. All right, so Pat, I know I apologize. I know we talked about your event campaign, but we didn't talk much about the 10th anniversary campaign, which is another campaign full of jaw-dropping, ridiculously gorgeous covers and all, like some sneak peeks of what's to come. But I guess real quick, tell everybody what I should have covered earlier and where we should follow you at.
Well, first things first, shout out to Charlie Stickney. Charlie's a great guy. I was talking to him today, and he was telling a story about what drew him to this business that he was talking to, and just from how he was describing the guy, I had to be like, I was like, you're a fucking genuinely nice guy. That's amazing. That Charlie is a sweet soul. Love him. Love his work. White Ash is live on Kickstarter right now. Definitely go back that.
Isn't it like the biggest issue or something so far? I thought it said like it's his biggest one yet.
Yeah, I believe it is. It's issued 9 and 10 as one comic, and then he also has a short, I believe, that he expanded into its own issue, which is kind of functioning as issue 10.5. I think I got that right. And it all looks amazing. 10.5 is illustrated by Yishan Lee, who is my long-term collaborator on Private Dance. She, I love a good ongoing comic. We contracted Yishan for 24 issues of Private Dance just for that consistency. And she also did this issue for Charlie, and it looks great. You can see it live right now. And as far as the 10th anniversary Kickstarter, that is a special one-shot that is celebrating 10 years of space between publishing and crowdfunding. It includes stories from our various titles that we've done over the years. The main stories are a Destiny New York story. Destiny New York was my first ever campaign, volume 1 of that. It's been going on for years, over 1,000 pages published now. We have 7 volumes, at least 5 volumes of spinoffs, probably more. And that story, it is about a girl who had a prophecy made about her when she was young. She completed her destiny when she was just 13. Now she's in her 30s trying to figure out life after destiny. So that's that. It also has a Wild Wisps story that is a new as in started in 2024, ongoing series. We are 6 issues deep and 1 spinoff now. That is a sort of it's an epic fantasy for adults. It kind of matches the vibes of creatures that are akin to Pokemon, Digimon, in a world that is a bit more of a cutthroat fantasy world with warring factions like Game of Thrones, First Law. And the third story is Afterglow. That's set in our post-apocalyptic giant animal populated Afterglow universe. And the final main story is a sort of a how we did it, a space between origin story bio. And then there's a gallery in the back of 1-page stories and pinups from our various titles. So that's that. It's a double size, probably going to end up being more once we have all those 1-pagers in comic. And also live on Kickstarter is the trade paperback of The Escort. That is a series that Ralph Tedesco created with me and wrote. It's one of our biggest titles in Cheeky Comics. That is an action thriller about a former Marine, current escort, who gets recruited to use both skill sets to infiltrate this cult of wealthy people who are doing some despicable and possibly supernatural things. So that collects the first 3 issues, that full arc. That's live now, ending this Friday. And you can access all 3 Kickstarters. That is the fan event, the 10th anniversary special, and the Escort Trade, Volume 1. You can just go to spacebetweenentertainment.com, and all the Kickstarters will be front-facing there. And you could also just order directly from us through that site. You know, our Shopify account on that site will have the backlog of all of our books, both digital deluxe, and physical.
Wow. First of all, three campaigns at once is hardcore. I thought 2 was cool. I totally missed the 3rd one. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Just very, very impressive with what, and I know you're not alone. I know you got a team, you know, but it just, for real, seeing what you do and know, like, you know, knowing, you know, cause what I do a lot of production shit, and I just like, it's so much, you know, and it's so very, very, very impressive, very cool. And I'm not gonna lie, dude, earlier when you were just like, we'll just distribute them ourselves, like I felt like an electricity. I was just like, it was like, I was like, oh, it's this fucker. That's the stuff. It's good. You're doing it, man. It's awesome. I got you. Basically, you are a public. You know, you might as well send them out. You do big campaigns many times a year, and you guys are fulfilling all those in house, right? So it's not much different, right? It's just bigger boxes, you know, going to, I guess, like,
yeah, exactly,
less places. So
yeah, I mean, we have orders from retailers right now. You know, like we they tend to go for you know, request based. So there are some retailers who, like, they just say, we have a guy who loves Luana Vecchio, get us everything she does, you know, and that kind of thing happens. There are those who just fill out a form. I want, like, you know, 5 of this, 6 of this, and we just have to assess our stock to see for, you know, variants or previous con exclusives. But as far as, you know, our main staples, we'll always have stock. You know, we massively overprint cover A in our trades just to always have them. You know, like, we have we turned a garage into a warehouse with multiple shelves and rows in the middle units. We have a storage unit, and I believe, I think, you know, I told him to clean it out, but I believe that our vice president, Steve, I think his basement has the hardcovers. You know, we do the hardcovers, they can fit like tops 20 a box. And on Private Dance, we printed, I think, 2,000. You know, with As of the Bard, we probably did like 1,000 to 1,100. So those boxes take up a huge amount of room. So we are happy to work with any retailers to get those things going.
Wow. And I bet those As of the Bard books are lettered too.
Oh, this time, yeah. This time.
Still crazy. I will never forget that. That was so crazy.
No,
I would have been, were so, you said, you know, you said you listened to Charlie Stickney talk to someone or talk about someone, and you're like, he's a good dude. Your attitude, like, you making jokes about it instead of like just really lay it into the people. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I could have been as fun on social media as you were that day.
I mean, I'll tell you this, like, I mean, at my core, obviously I wasn't happy about it, you know? But what I think is this, because at that time that Scout published Asa, I was already doing my own stuff. And my reaction was like, all right, this is a hazard of working with other people. You know, like, when you put the printing in someone else's hands, just like, I look at that, and I don't just look at the printer proofs for the shit that I write. Like, I am the final eye on approving stuff before it goes to the printer. And then when the printer sends their own proof, I look through it. And I look at that and I'm like, I can confidently say that would have never happened to me. I would, when I click on page 1 of the PDF, my thought would be, I don't remember not writing anything on this page. Click page 2. Oh, this is blank. They fucked it up. That would be, I would see that in less than a minute, So, so the fact that they missed that, I had to just chalk it up. Well, that's what you get for trusting other people with that final step when I'm capable of doing the final step myself. Just at the time we didn't do single issues, and we wanted to just diversify a bit. But I was happy to be able to collaborate with Rio to publish that hardcover with the letters intact. And yeah, I my attitude toward it, I had the tense conversations to me should be held person to person. Like I have my phone calls, but I'm not gonna get online and turn that moment into a oh, Pat's mad at blank because of his book came out with no lettering on it. Like that would be the story. When really I wanted to turn it into a talking point that it happened, but not entrench negativity into it. Because if it can be funny, then that's gonna get more positivity than if I turned it into a me versus them situation, which I never saw it as.
Nice. Man, I wish I'm getting better at it finally. Like I turned 40 last year, right? So it's like I had to turn 40 to kind of start figuring it out. But it's like I'm way more and a friend, David Crispino, said he told me about he goes, I just say okay with a period and don't say anything else to him ever again. He was like, that's what I do on social media. And I was like,
that's great.
And it's I'm finally learning that it's because you don't have to, it's so silly to get like worked up for dumb shit, and anyway, it still happens every now and then, but yeah, I'm finally learning that. And it's if you can laugh at stuff, I feel like if you can get mad and laugh at stuff, you just are a little, maybe not better at life than other people, but like maybe you handle life better than some, because I feel like it's a gift that not a lot of people have. My dad used to be able to do it, but now, like he's like, I don't know, he doesn't work anymore. And I just think that would be awesome to like not work, and he's still real grumpy, and he just gets real like lit up about stuff, and then like zooms in on it and stays like zoomed in on that anger instead of laughing it off or finding something else to fuck up, right? Because we're human. Anyway, I like that, dude. I like it. You gotta laugh at it. I feel like Don's on the same level because he has a funny, humorous also life.
Well, I mean,
slice of life. That's what I was trying to say.
I've been on this planet 43 years. I have 2 kids. I have lots of experience in lots of different things, and it's I can definitely fall into the traps of getting too obsessed about something, but life has given me so many points of reference for perspective that sometimes you just gotta be like, you just gotta laugh at it. You're like, all right, this happened. All right, I guess I got whatever. Something like that just happened with one of I found an error that no one brought up. I found it after like a year after or something in the printing or whatever, and luckily we were able to fix it before the collection and all that. But I'm just like, I was immediately like, oh man, do I gotta like contact? I'm like, no, no one said anything. It's just one of those ridiculous things that happens, and what are you gonna do? I can't go back and reprint those.
Yeah.
No one complained. Maybe they thought it was part of it. I don't know. So yeah, it's just there's so many righteous, justifiable things to be mad at right now. That not sweating the small stuff. Easier said than done, of course, but it's like, yeah, like you only got so much bandwidth to handle things. And if you can try to just like relieve some of it by just, oh well, that happened,
Mhm.
and I think if you approach things, it's less approaching it with humor, it's just more approaching things with grace and just saying like, this happened, like Pat said, like you weren't coming out with negativity. You're just like, okay, this is a thing that happened.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? Like, man, that's so that I think when you approach it like that, it could definitely deflate a lot of other responses.
Yeah.
Um, and in turn, and as I've always found, as I've definitely found in recent years, that like even if you're not feeling it, if you like force yourself to be positive, you just feel better and you become positive, and you fake it till you make it situation. And I'd rather do that than like dwell and be negative and things like that, because like I said, there's so many other things that justifiably I could just sit here and just be real negative and
Yeah.
a dick and an asshole about. And I'm just like, I choose not to do that. I
Yeah.
can't. I don't like living that way. I don't like operating that way. And unfortunately, some folks don't get the positions in life or the opportunities in life for to show them like, yeah, that's not the way to go, man. That's not the way to go. You're not gonna, wherever you end up, you're still gonna be unhappy if this is how you go about everything. So in
For
regards to
sure.
your dad, I think your dad's just looking for purpose, because I would be the same way if I had like
Yeah.
nothing to do. Thankfully and regrettably, I love comics, and that will be something I do until the day I die, whether anyone reads them or not. So I will always have something to do with myself.
Yeah.
But I can imagine someone just like, this can't, that's, basically is done. Like, well, what do I do now? Yeah, I could easily go insane if I was in
He
those
goes
shoes for
fishing a
sure.
lot. He smokes a lot of weeds. I'm telling you, he's got it pretty good. I
He's
don't
finding his
know.
hobbies.
That
Yeah.
sounds
Well, then
good.
he's finding his hobbies. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, and I do, I get mad for sure. I mean, just it's funny, as you were saying before about how I seem so nice and positive. I like to think that I do, but a text came in. Steve is running the packing session right now at the office, and he said that my friend Twan, who works as our production manager, that last night he mistakenly took the key to the crawl space home where all the shit like the Geminis, the bubble is, and Steve tricked him and told him that I was at work and I'm super crazy angry right now. So Twan brought the key back and didn't want to go inside and left it in the garage because he was scared. But so like I'll definitely like I have to take on the role of boss with the guys sometimes. Like there's certain things like say if I'm there, I still primarily when I'm at the office I'll be doing the labels on what they've packed, and well it usually happens in one night where I'll see in the span of like maybe an hour I'll see one package that I'm like I would have packed it this way, if it rains the water's getting in, so I'll go out, I'll be like, yo, what's going on here? Then it happens a second time and I'm like, guys, what? But by the third time that I'm opening that door, the tension in the room is definitely high, But like, I have to keep that. They're all my lifelong friends, so I'll have to make sure that I coach them to maintain a professional product because they're all also lifelong friends. So it can get very friendly and fun out there. So I have to make sure that they maintain that level of hard work. But when we're talking about the internet online, as much as you may know someone's style on social, you don't really know them. Social media is what they project. So if you get into a back and forth, that could be a crazy person. That
Yeah.
person might not take you at face value, might purposely misinterpret you and try to spin it into something negative that they can use against you because they might be, playing with a different set of cards and you might be playing with magic and they might be playing with goddamn cryptozoology or some shit. So it's on social media, I mean, I've pulled entirely back from social. I don't really want to interact with anyone there. This thing where we're like talking on a human level, face to face, this you can get the context of a person. But as far as like getting mad on social media, that to me, you just can't do it anymore, you know?
Yeah. You're right. You can't, because you look bad, and optics are huge, right? Even like we shouldn't care about what people think of us, but when you're on Kickstarter, and when you're selling books, or when you're at a small marketing firm and there's 8 people and you're one of them, and your face is on the internet, like it's, you got to start, you do have to start being cognizant of that. And quitting drinking helped, right? Like I got tired. I got bored with it, and I fell asleep at my sister's wedding, and I didn't do anything bad or dumb, but it embarrassed me. Everybody took pictures and laughed, and they danced around me and had a good old time and shit. But it was embarrassing. And that's when I started to drink. But it was way easier to just, I was like, why? I was like, I don't care what this person says. Block.
No, like, you really can't. If you think about it, like, one, they don't really know you, so they're critiquing a small aspect of you, and they're not taking into context anything but that one thing for the most part. Like, my thought is this: if someone were to say something negative about me, and it's happened, like I've been doing this for, Space with Pete for 10 years, but I've been publishing comics. My first gig was 2011, so it's been 15 years now. Of course, there's going to be someone saying negative things about either the work or about you, whatever. My thought is like, what if you don't reply and fewer people see it? Cool. Like, why would you want to signal boost someone saying, I hate this book because et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Why? Why engage? It's not gonna change their mind, and it's just gonna make you look like someone who is hypersensitive to critique, and also it's gonna take what you didn't like seeing and have more people see it. Why do you want that? I don't want that. So that definitely fed into my shit with my how I handle just in general, but how I handle specifically the unlettered, printed in the shop scout version of As the Number One. It's like, if I turn that into some bullshit, what people are going to see on social is some bullshit, and they're going to see me in it, So I think that the less that we can do that, the healthier our feeds will be.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I've just found with being real busy, that helps, because it's like I have to post on the work socials, and then the CTM socials, and then I post my bullshit, whatever I'm doing, on my socials, and it's just like I'm actually lucky. I don't have a lot of time to doom scroll. Like, I look at my notifications, and I'm popular some days, people kind of like me on Threads, but not if I talk about comics on Threads, they don't like me that much. Like, if I post food and stupid shit on Threads, anyway. But it's if I just kind of, but I'm hanging out with my people, right? The people that interact with me, that are kind, that I engage with, right? And then it's like I'm not as much like scrolling through news and footage of bombings and shit. I do some, because it's getting off X helped too. I should have done that a long time ago, and I didn't, because I kept hoping he was going to sell it. But I finally got off there too, and it's just one bad thing about what I do is I could take a break from Blake's socials, but I would still have to get on the Prana socials and get on the magazine socials, and get on Facebook, and you still especially now with how geared some of these are in certain directions, right? You're blasted with propaganda as soon as you open the fucking site. So I can't really take a break from social media, and I don't know. I don't think sometimes I think it would be nice, but I'm still very capable of at night, I will put my phone away and read. I read way more now than I started than like watching TV and stuff. Like and I started reading novels again. I started reading novels again last year on top of the comics and stuff. And so I get to like shut off a little bit, but it's just like, you know, the idea of like when people are like, I'm taking a social media break, and they like come back a month later, and it's like, what would that be like? You know, like, and like, this is so stupid, right? But like, what I love cooking. I love cooking and knowing that I can post a picture of a pretty cheeseburger I made and maybe 40 people like it, and I'll feel kind of special. I'll be like, wow,
Yes.
you know, that's cool.
I love to see that kind of stuff. I love to see life, you know, like the reason that I've kept my Facebook, like I don't accept any more requests because I don't really use it to promote anymore. You know, like I posted the link to the fan event just because, you know, I have people who know me in person who might want to come, but I don't really post any links there anymore just because I see it like as an artifact of when I used to just post about life. Like I love looking back at the memories and seeing that. But I'll tell you this, when I brought in a team and stopped doing this all solo, as soon as I could, the first thing that I thought was, I want social gone from my life. I had Chris, Shannon, and Ralph run the Space Between Socials, and I don't see shit until like we have like a problem. Like say someone posted a negative comment, should we delete this? Sure, like that kind of thing. But just being off of it and not worrying about running that stuff, I needed that to be able to write at the level that of output that I do. You know, I can't have those thoughts of the negative shit I see on social. You know, like they have the Twitter. I can log in and see it, but I don't. You know, I'll never be on Blue Sky. My TikTok, it used to be just opening Pokemon cards, and now I
remember that.
Yeah, I used to like now I just scroll to see fun shit. Like I look at book talk on TikTok, and just like get some reading recommendations and see cat videos. Like that's my ideal social media. You know, obviously it is a good tool if you can utilize it in a way like you do to actively promote and sell books and humanize the creator. But as far as me, like I haven't found that the Pat Shand account is going to be a useful tool for me because I can't use it in that way. So I've had to pass that off, and passing the company accounts, which they can use that way, passing those off has really helped me in my mental space for social.
Wow. Now, I know real quick. Do you Tilts travel and do a lot of shows? Is that like, does that kind of help? Because one of the nice things about social media and just the indie comics part and Kickstarter, it was like, you know, there was like, you could interact with your peers and like, you know, whether the Discord group chats, DMs, whatever, you know, there's a million different things. But you know, when you lose that, you know, it's kind of like when you're like, oh, like I only talk to my family on Facebook, and then you delete your Facebook, you're like, fuck, I never see my family anymore. You know? It's like, but you know, does traveling and maybe doing more shows, does that kind of like compensate that and get some of that itch out? Because for a while you were doing like, you know, several shows a year, and your tables were getting bigger. Is that still part of? Well, obviously you're doing your own show, but like, are the other conventions still part of your plan?
So for the big ones, yeah, you know, we bought a 10 by 20, I think, for New York this past year. So it was a great big space, main show floor that showed me what that kind of thing can be for us. So we did re-up for New York this year. So we would do that every year if we could. We used to do more of the Exoticas, but we have found that their show floor placement is hyper chaotic, and being the booth that is next to Brazzers by the front, when we had next to no stock. For that first show, we had Thirsty and Destiny New York. And the table was just that book over and over and over again. And Destiny New York is not erotica. You know, like we had one relevant book, and we made bank. However, now now we have so many titles that we can't fit them on the table that are relevant. And if they put us next to like the stage where people are doing fucking fire shows and rapping and screaming, you know, the host doing stand up for the whole run, we'll make a fraction of what we made up toward the front. So placement there is so chaotic. I've definitely pulled back. And I liked New York last year, just because we had, you know, a big staff. It was fun. I was able to escape with Ralph for a bit and work on some story stuff. We had dinner every night. That part was great. But I'm not a convention guy. You know, like I'm a homebody. And the fact that I'm traveling with my team, I already love them. I'm not going to be meeting new people. I'm going to be, if I'm with my people at the con, we're going to get dinner together. We're going to go somewhere together. Like I want to spend that time intentionally and have it be memories with people that I am lucky enough to work with who I love, you know? So I'm not really networking at those cons. So it's less of a replacement for social and more just us doing what we're doing here in a different area. You know, we're always going to just be together at these things. But no, I mean, I'm not doing too many of them this year though. You know, I feel like there was a time where I was doing cons like once a month or sometimes twice a month. And I would always try to bring someone, and it became really demanding. And some of these cons I would do alone, and it felt like I was on the road, you know, as like a traveling stand up or a musician, where I was, you know, home was something that I didn't see as much as I need to. So I'm definitely doing a lot less of that.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, you gotta for whatever for the mental health. That's good. Don, are you going to be at C2E2? Are you doing?
I'm not sure if I'll be tabling it. I got waitlisted. I've tabled there at least 10 or so times since its inception. I've only gotten a table first round once. So I'm familiar with just waiting for a wait list or, you know, finding someone to split with. But what I am going to be doing at C2A2 for sure is I am hosting a panel for the first time. I will be hosting the comics and metal panel on the Friday nights. And I got a bunch of great creators already signed up for the panel. And it's going to be kind of a, not necessarily a mini version of the podcast, but they are going to be people who have been on the podcast before, people like Tyrell Cannon, Jimmy Giergrich, Kelly Williams, Marcus Nasso, fantastic creators who, you know, they are big metalheads. And what I love is that, you know, I had plenty of people to try to ask, lots of people who weren't going to be there, unfortunately, but I was trying to, at the very least, get a bunch of people who had different, who love different genres of metal, different subgenres, you know. So I'm like, okay, I know Tyrell loves like doom stoner metal, and I know, you know, Marcus likes the harder death, you know, death black metal kind of stuff, and all this other stuff. So, and then just basically talking to them about, you know, how that, you know, how comics and metal meet with each other in their work and all that. So I will be at C2E2. You know, I'm going to do my damnedest to get a table because we're going to have the book and I want to sell the book. And get there. So unless, you know, absolutely, you know, nothing happens and I get blocked, I will at least very least be there for the Friday and then probably back on the Sunday with my family. Like taking the kids there and paying way too much for Pokemon plushies and you know, and to keep the theme of the show and con hot dogs. So, you know, but no, I will be there. I will be there. It is my home show.
Some hot dogs.
It is my home show. I usually, that's the one big show I usually do a year. I am very much a homebody as well. And then, you know, travel, like it's really hard to justify the expense. I would love to do Heroes. I would love to do New York. I would love to do Emerald City. You know, I'd love to do some of the LA shows too that I have friends out there. But you know, I can't, even doing C2E2, it's going to be like I'm going to have to bust my ass to get into the profit zone as fast as possible, because but that's the name of the game. You sign up for it, that's what you do. But regardless, either if it's just the panel and attending as a fan and just catching up with folks, or tabling myself, I will be there. So I'll make sure we have to run into each other at some point.
Yeah, we'll have to meet. Because I'm getting nervous because it's coming up. Comics Pro's coming up real quick, and I'm like, I just found I get my own hotel room. I get to leave Kansas City in the winter and go to California. It's gonna be dope. Like, yeah, and I'm gonna help. Like, I'm an audio video guy. Like, I'm helping, like, for the panels and stuff, and like making sure the PowerPoints run, and I've been just stuff I do every day. That they need help with, and so yeah. Anyways, I'm that's, and my work's going out there too, and then we're tabling at C2E2, and it's going to be like Prana and Comics the Magazine, I think. So I don't really know what's going on there, but I think they want us to do like 3 panels, and so we're like PowerPoint decks for 3 panel. Like, it's I'm going to be making so many PowerPoint decks. It's ridiculous. I never thought that like that would be my job, because like we do the Tuesday live show is like that comes together pretty quickly, and like we put the deck together, and we try and find news that's within a day or two, like, so that it gets put together like pretty close to the show. And it's just, I found out I was really good. Last year at SDCC, they were like, hey, can you make this presentation look a little better? And this was when they had just hired me, right? So I was like, I put my all into that shit. I was like, I made the best fucking presentation I could, and I did too good a job, because then they were like, oh, we got 2 more. Will you do these? And then now I do them for the show. It's cool, but it's I know all that's coming, and it's gonna be like. That's what's funny. Comics go so slow, but like behind the scenes, it's just like, is this done yet? Is this done yet? Is this done? And everything has to be perfect, because if it's not perfect, it's going to print wrong, or it's going to look wrong on a screen in front of a room full of people. There's not a, yes, like you said, Don, we should have grace, but there's not a lot of grace in print, right? Because it's just, it's there. There's nothing you can do about it after it's there. But yeah, anyway, you guys get it. This was really fun. Pat, it was so fun to catch up with you. And Don, we've talked and known each other for a while. It was great to finally have you on. I love your book. I really did.
Appreciate it.
It's fucking, I like it a lot. And whether you stay on Kickstarter or ever shop it around, I think it's if you wanted it out there, you could find someone. It's good. It's good. It's good. And it's good and fun. I feel like people would connect with it. Your art's, I dig your art. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Pat, you're fucking your own. You could pitch your own books to yourself and then publish them now, and then distribute them to comic book shops around the country. It's so cool, dude. I'm so glad things are going well for both of you. I'm glad crowdfunding is treating you both well. It's because it is different out there for everybody. It's weird. It's weird times. And so it's I'm glad it's still people are still buying comics. What I'm trying to say, and it's nice. They're still buying comics in shops. They're still buying comics on crowdfunding. It's just people still love indie comics. It's nice. It's a nice, cozy, warm place to be still. Guys, I know we've talked about a lot of stuff. Is there anything we missed or that you'd like to say before we leave, or any campaign stuff?
I would feel terrible if I ended this discussion with you without at least acknowledging one of the comments. Also, hot dogs. My only comment about hot dogs is that I am from Chicago. I can say that ketchup on a hot dog is not a life-ending offense. Many great ways to have a hot dog. It's just that the undisputable fact is that Chicago style is the best way to have a hot dog. That's all I have to say.
And like
I will
said,
not discuss it further.
I am so excited to like Adam, my boss is. They're like, oh, we're gonna take him to get a real Chicago dog. I can't remember the place they said, but yeah, I love them. I don't care how bad they are for. I mean, I do, and I know this is. I get the all beef ones. It's not like I'm buying like the 25 cent a 8-pack hot dogs that like.
We're a Vienna household. We're a Vienna hot dog household. Nathan's is good too in a pinch, but Vienna's, that's the way to go.
Yeah, these probably aren't great for you, but I'm addicted to the Costco dogs. It's like $20 for like 20. I don't know. They're supposedly all beef. I don't know. I really like them. And this, all right, you guys got me worked up on Frank's. All right, so like,
food, bro. Let's do it.
So this, I've been, I'm really into like the jalapeno popper dog. Okay, like I just love it, and I bought some. This is lazy, but I bought some whipped jalapeno cream cheese spread, and so like I like fry like a piece of bacon and put that on a toasted bun and smear some of that cream cheese spread, pan fry a dog in some butter and throw that on there, and then grate some cheddar over it, right? And then I kind of wrap it in foil and let the heat kind of steam the bun and melt that shredded cheddar. And I let it sit there. I think about it for a little bit. I kind of feel it. And as the foil gets, when it feels right and warm in my hand, I unwrap it, and it's just like the bun's a little softer and the bacon's not. It's just, that's my jam right now. That's my I keep going back to it. And it's a solid hot dog for me. But yeah, I'm very excited to the Ninja Turtle ooze type relish that goes on there, and the weird peppers and stuff, and the snap, the hot dog. I know, like the
celery salt. Don't forget the celery salt.
The celery salt. Like I'm stoked. I'm real stoked, and I really want to try one of the one of like the giant ones that have like a giant bun too, I just like a silly giant coney or something. I'm gonna go hard on the hot, but I can't go too hard on the hot dogs because I'm gonna have to work the con, and I don't want to be like oh, I missed this interview because I had the chili cheese shits, Adam, like sorry, so I'm gonna have to think about that, like how
there's just so much amazing food in Chicago itself.
And like
get the good hot dog, but there's so many other things that you'll be distracted by. So I think you'll be all right. I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I very much am a homebody, and I never, even when I was at the bar and bouncing and going out all the time, I never traveled. I never really have. And so like, getting to go to California and then Chicago. And if like, I don't want to jinx it, but like if the magazine starts doing stuff, like, this may be the year I get to like, I'm already going to C2E2 as a pro, not as press, like as I'll have a pro badge. So, but this may be the year I start getting to go to, and I've like dreamed about this. Like this was like and I just wanted to do it as like Blake's Buzz, like it'd be so cool to be like, to go out, and anyway, so yeah, it's and I'm real stoked too, because Marcus-on and Jason will be there, and I've known them forever, and like I'm gonna give a lot of people a lot of big hugs, and if we all get COVID, I'm sorry, but you're all getting hugs because I'm a hugger. That's how we do things in Kansas City. So that's I wash my hands though. I do wash my hands, but anyway, I'm stoked for hot dogs and friendship, and just see, like, yeah, I'm getting old, man. I'm 40. I need to get out there and do more shit. Just like, I live at this desk. I do cool stuff at this desk, but it's just I'm at this desk. I know both of you guys can totally, like whether you're hunched over drawing or going through spreadsheets or fulfillment stuff or outlines or script treatments and writing script, all the shit you guys do. So not jealous and not jealous simultaneously. Like,
Well,
I don't
I
want
just
that
gotta,
power.
I just gotta say, as someone who knows people who have had to do like all the cons in a year, um, I'm happy for you that, if you get the chance to do that and experience that, but I'm pretty sure it's something you get out of your system pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Once you start.
yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah, it's.
so,
I mean,
and yeah, you may not be going out as Blake's Buzz, but you're going out as Blake Morgan, who does Blake's Buzz, who does this, and that's, I think probably even better than
Yeah.
just doing it for the one thing, being out there for the one thing,
Yeah.
because
And
why be, who
you're
wants
my
to be just one
peers
thing?
now. You
See?
have to deal with me on a different level. You're stuck with me.
yeah, I think that cons, that they're definitely cool in moderation for sure. When it becomes a thing that you feel stuck doing, I think is the time to assess. When it's time to pull back and just tweak your strategy. But it's a thing that it's a staple of the industry of what we do. So it's always going to be something that I want to do here and there. But yeah, the days of seeing my peers at a con that I couldn't make it to, where I'm at home like fuck, that's gone, But when I do get to see people and catch up at cons, like Blake, I would love to see you at a con. Don, same for you. That's always great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I could definitely see. Well, just traveling is exhausting, but just I mean, like just doing the Kansas City one, like as press, and I like people always told me I work too hard, but I remember the last press one I did at Kansas City. I did like I think in over a weekend I did like 26 like 15-minute or less interviews. Like I
Ooh,
hustled. It was
it's a lot.
nuts. Yeah, it was crazy. And I was like I was getting to talk to some people and then but then then you edit it and then you got to upload it, you got to do it anyway. And then you're like on your feet, and because no one ever tells you, they're just like, oh yeah, if you don't see a line, come back by. And so I was like doing figure eights around like all the comic book people, just like waiting for the lines to drop down and be like swoop in. So I was just like, you're just on your feet all day, and then you don't really notice it till you like get home, and then you like finally lay down, and then you like and then your feet start hurting.
Oh,
But I don't know. It was like it's a good exhaustion, but I'm still very green, right? I've only been to I haven't been to an out of state, I'm still all new to this shit. So yeah, I could definitely see like or even like a book signing tour, like if you went and like hit up like a few shops and did like a little road trip, and like I've seen indie guys doing that. Like that's starting to be a new thing that happens, like the planning in that, and then getting the traveling and dealing with traffic and all that shit. It's just it's a lot. And I guess you really do got to weigh like if it like what moves the needle and what doesn't anymore, right? Is because it's like, Pat's lucky, like you found a way to be like visible. Well, you've got a team for your social media, but I mean you've spent years in being visible, and and like your brand is a lot more visible than it used to be, and so so you have that you put in just 15 years, it only took 15 years, shit, like why haven't you done that yet, Don? It's just like who's got, so it's interesting because Jared Lujan used to be pushed back against that a lot too, because it was like everybody's expected to like go to these conventions and these big shows and spend all this money to travel so that maybe you cross paths with an editor, maybe you trick them into thinking you're the next big thing, while you shake hands with them, maybe they ask to see your comic book if you have one, and it's just like there's all these like huge maybes, and it's still like an expected normalcy of like you have to go here and go to BarCon and go to anyway. I can see I like how we've pushed back against that, but I also still like, I don't know, like there's still so much of what we do is community. Even this digital part though, but it's, I mean, the whole idea of like a comic book shop is like a to use the phrase like a safe zone, right? I mean, it's supposed to be like there's very few people. Some people don't even go to the grocery store once a week. You know, like hardcore comic heads go to a shop, you know, every Wednesday. So there's still not a lot of places people do that. The dispensaries, I guess, you know, like that's, people probably, but maybe not, you know, like maybe people don't like going there all the time either. Anyway, I'm going to keep rambling. I'm just going to shut up. So I gave you guys a chance. I said, if there's anything else, you brought up hot dogs. Pat, did anything we forgot on your end, or you wanted to shout out before we wrap it up?
Let me see. Shout out. Yeah, I mean, I'll point out Charlie Stickney has his book live right now as well. Said it before, I'll say it again. White Ash, great comic. You should catch up on that now on Kickstarter. It has been a staple of Kickstarter as long as Space Between and Destiny New York have, you know. I believe that Charlie and I launched him with White Ash issue 1 and me with Destiny New York volume 1, I think in the same month of the same year. Wow. 10 years ago. So if that's true, and I think it is, that would make this the 10th anniversary of White Ash as well. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what happened. So check out White Ash issue 9 and 10. It's a conjoined little double-sized banger. And you can find me at spacebetweenentertainment.com. It has all our campaigns from our various imprints. It has the event there. Once the Kickstarter for the event closes, we'll have tickets for sale just through our standard shop on that same website.
So cool, man. I think this is really exciting. I want to see more, and well, I definitely want to see more, because it's like the next step is then you're buying the Space Between mansion, like the Polito house, right? That's step 3.
I'll tell you this, Stokes, he's a writer for us, Anthony Stokes. He really wants that. He's hit me up multiple times saying, "Why don't we have a content house?" And I'm like, "Why don't we have a house?" Like that's super aspirational. You know, it's a good idea though. But I mean, I also, you know, I love my privacy. I love so our office. My mother in my childhood home gave us the back half and a little piece of the front half of her house to use as the office. So those guys are over there. I love not living there. You know, I love living away from the work. So here at home, I'll do my writing work. I'll build the Kickstarters. And I love the idea of, you know, Steve works full time for me. I can go over there at any point of the day and work with Steve. At night, they do the packing shifts. I can go over there and be part of that if I choose. But just the separation there of not having to be surrounded by work has been fantastic for me.
Well, I bet as having the, you know, with the expanding and growth that you've had to be able to kind of, to relieve some of those tensions and have a team you can trust. That means everything. Like having a good team. It's crazy what you can do with having a good team. That's why I will die loving comic books. It's like everyone that gets made is like a little fucking miracle. Like it's ridiculous. Sure. It's ridiculous. You know, like all the stuff that has to happen right for like Don to have enough time to finish a page, let alone like 20 or 30 of them, let alone 100 and something of them for a trade paperback. I mean, that's like Don's nodding his head like they're thinking all that time. Just that's so much time, you know. But it's just I appreciate the work that you guys are doing, because it would be man, it would be real sad to not have like books and stories and stuff to read, especially right now. But just in general, like I love video games and I love watching movies and stuff too. But it like nothing ever beats like getting lost in a good book or a good comic, and like, you know, like when you kind of lose track of time. Like I love that feel. That's one of the best. It's one of the best feelings in the world. That like, unfortunately, I've tried a lot of drugs and nothing replicates that other than just reading. Bummer. Go read books. All right. So follow these guys. There are links in the descriptions to the campaigns. Check out the campaigns. If you can't afford a ticket to get to Pat's event, like I said, and you saw some of them, there are some beautiful covers to get. Always gorgeous covers on those campaigns.
Thank you very much.
And if you love vampires and rocking out, you've got to get on Evie and the Helsings, because that was a blast. And I feel like the more people that buy volume 1, maybe the faster volume 2. So that's usually what happens. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I just work here. All right, guys, thank you so much for the time. It was so great catching up. Everybody in chat, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for the comments and stuff. Find those links. We'll be back next week. Have a wonderful night. Love more, hate